AUTORITRATTO is an exhibition in which I invited 17 artists to present to me what they thought best reflected themselves. So it's given them a chance to make something completely different they've never made before, or something that they think is the best thing they've ever done. Not only that, they've given me their own words as to how they came to do it, why they did it, and why it fits this particular, very specific, difficult and challenging request. Please make me a self-portrait. So the 17 artists work in different materials, and we've got different materials in this case. Porcelain on the top layer, Carina Ciscato. 3D printed porcelain on the middle shelf, Nico Conti. And you can sense this very delicate approach in his work, and the translucency is very beautiful. He calls them filigree light. Tanja Pak is an ephemeral artist, abstract. Glenn Adamson has written an essay about this project, and he relates her work to the post-surrealist artists Hans Arp and Jean Miro. And I would also add Magritte. They are extraordinarily light in feel, and yet they are blown glass, 2 layers of glass, plain crystal glass, and on top opaline. So when the light's in a certain position, you see a halo underneath the surface, which is very alluring. Pippin Drysdale, Master of Australian Crafts and National Living Treasure of Western Australia. The work is very intricate and involved, several processes, many firings, and the results are extraordinary. In her words for AUTORITRATTO, she says, "The landscape is indelibly printed on my psyche." She's been studying the colours and forms of the Devil's Marbles, a geological phenomenon of balanced rocks in Warrumungu in the Northern Territories. The forms are as important as the glazes. They throw shadows and convey the vastness and cinematic scope of the Australian landscape. I have called the pieces breakaways. Richard Batterham, I would say, the pioneering spirit in this exhibition. He's stopped making pots now, which is very sad, but he's had an illustrious career. What comes across most is his ease with the forms he's making. He could almost do it in his sleep, one feels. And I think that's what gives us confidence about using them every day and enjoying them. William Plumptre is influenced by Richard Batterham, but probably more so by Tatsuzo Shimoaka, who he studied with in Japan. At Mashiko, this is the piece he's chosen to illustrate what he finds most difficult in ceramics, which is squaring the circle. Clive Bowen is our truly Mingei potter. He makes things that can be broken and replaced. Yes, he's in the same league, really, as Richard Batterham in his fluency and his knowledge. Annie Turner's Jetty. This is an extraordinary piece. All made by hand, every single little section, and then glazed with a spray glaze. And her pieces are all about archaeology, tides, the water, and ancient things. Carina Ciscato realised that because she's of mixed descent, she's a Brazilian of Italian and Portuguese descent living in the UK, she didn't think it was right to work purely in porcelain, which is her normal media. So she's made a special clay body that is made of combining materials, still holding qualities such as quietness, serenity, hardness, and warmth. And she decided, in the end, to make some mirrors, which she calls a family. They're named semblances. I wanted to include the written word in this exhibition, and Gregory Warren Wilson, a poet, who better to ask than a celebrated poet. He makes assemblages, and they are amusing, witty, a different form of abstraction, things that you can hear with the inner ear. They are from different periods, and they're a suite named place settings. Each one has a very specific title with an essay and a booklet written about each one. The first one is a volcanic glazed cup by Ewan Henderson with a green glass inclusion. And its title is A Nightcap for Lady Macbeth. The second one is the blue Chariot series Cauldron Cup. It's vast. It would give us 3 cups of tea in one. And it denotes chariots and something approaching the British Museum, horses rearing, a very lively scene. And the blue in the centre of it, the blue glass handmade in Murano, just sets it off beautifully. It could sit on any mantelpiece. The third piece I'm going to talk about is apparently very simple, but it has more to it than meets the eye, and that is the white porcelain cup made by students in the 2013 Royal College of Art show. It's a very straightforward cylindrical white porcelain cup with lipstick marks on either side, the inner rim and the outer rim. It has a black inclusion in the base and another one outside it, and one might wonder why. The title is L'Esprit de l'Escalier. It's the idea that two people may meet and have a conversation, and they part. And then as they get to the top, one of them gets to the top of the staircase, they realise what they should have said in that conversation. And it's a very light touch to the exhibition. This mirror is really the heart of the matter. Charmian Mocatta's engraving says it all. It's perfect for AUTORITRATTO. It comes from Hamlet. This above all, to thine own self be true. And all the artists involved in this exhibition have contributed their very selves to this end. And I'm astonished at the results. Akiko Hirai, Japanese potter. She responded in a very spontaneous way. She talks about the well-known philosopher Yanagi, who wrote so beautifully in The Unknown Craftsman. When he went to see a very famous tea bowl, Japanese national treasure tea bowl, called the Kizamon Chawan, he thought, is that it? She talks further in her essay and finally decides that he became able to see something in it, and is that it had become, this is it. She makes things with great sensitivity, and her quote at the beginning of her story is, I do make the object, but let it happen by itself. Susie Thomson is a basket maker. She's turned her basketry into a form of art, I would say all of her own. She's made a delightful piece. It is hemp twine which she has wrapped with linen waxed thread. The results are extraordinary. I think it could be called confrontation. She's called it the interval between Schumann and Fauré. The intensity of work is apparent, and the colours beautifully blended. They're a little like a pair of capercaillies provoking one another. Hélène Binet wrote very thoughtfully, trapped in her studio during COVID-19. Working in my kitchen in the mornings of the 2020 spring, all is silent. Am I silent, or is the whole world? In the darkness you hear better, said Aristotle. In silence and in a closed environment, can you see better? She has produced a new series of work, 6 photographs taken in her kitchen studio, and they are very powerful and revealing. They're called The Visitor. Tracy Rowledge is an established bookbinder. She knows a great deal about materials, and for this piece, where she is considering the nature of time, she's decided to use quite an ordinary material, millboard, as the base. She's covered it in gesso, and then she's made a pattern of very intricate marks all over it. There are many segments underneath the pattern, but the pattern appears to be absolutely natural, as though it is stretched muslin that has just fallen onto the piece. It's truly original. The piece is called Each Day is Different. It's ultimately a celebration of persistence and awareness, an ongoing regathering of the self. White Delft is Bouke de Vries' greatest love. This little white Delft cow was a remnant of an early 18th century example used to advertise dairies in the Netherlands. Bouke often recontextualizes fragments of Delftware in his sculpture. His approach is both playful and evocative. The title of this piece is Bubbles, Mutation. Geoffrey Mann is a conceptual artist. He is interested in what our eyes cannot see, beauty that exists beyond the physical world. In his Crossfire series, he works with a spectrum of everyday actors, such as tableware, cups, jugs, plates and cutlery, caught in a crossfire of heated argument, taken from the film American Beauty. Each object is deformed and animated by the sound waves of raised voices which pass over it. Each edition of the jug has been hand-sculpted through lamp working in glass, referencing a 3D printed master. Each undulation and deformation becomes a physical echo of the conversation. Nicholas Rena, making his noble ceramic forms, attest with equal power to the abiding creative spirit which finds escape in flights of imagination. This piece, Repository of Memories, was photographed by Hélène Binet for the Marking the Line Ceramics and Architecture exhibition at the Sir John Soane Museum, and it seems to make a very suitable ending to this group of artists in that it is a repository for memories or remembrance.